Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to the Overcome Her series. I am Dr. Nicole Price, and I am so glad you're here. Today, we're talking about overcoming brokenness. I never like to talk about things for which I have no experience, and I also don't like to talk about things for which I have not learned from. So, first, let me tell you about this experience that I personally had with brokenness. When my mother passed away, I had already 28 years prior, had lost my father. In fact, my father died on my 10th birthday. And I like to tell people that I was my father's favorite child. I don't know if that's true, but good parents will never tell you the answer. But my 38th birthday that year, um, I got a call. I was at work sitting at my desk, and it was my sister, my older sister. And she said, "Hey, mom and I were in the car together and somebody hit us. Mom's no longer in the car anymore, and they're saying she died." I asked my sister where they were, and she told me. And I get up to go leave work to show up at the location because, my sister sometimes she can be a little extra. And while I was on my way, the guy I was dating at the time, he told me that to meet him at the emergency center that was right near my job. And one of my coworkers took me over there. But while I was in the emergency room, the chaplain came out and she said to me, "Was Gertrude Price your mother?" And when she spoke about my mother in past tense, I immediately knew that my mom had gone on to glory. During that time, though, none of my siblings were able to handle the grief in a way that would allow them to be able to show up and handle things like funeral arrangements and making sure that everyone knew what was going on. Because my sister at the time was also harmed. Her leg was damaged drastically. Her boyfriend, who was in the car, he was in ICU. So there's just a lot of moving pieces and parts. And so what I did was push down everything that I was feeling so that I could handle the arrangements. The very next day, I talked to my son's grandmother, and she said, she was walking me through the basic steps to make sure that, I was able to take care of things. But that day, I did not shower. And the next day, I did not shower. And the next day, I did not shower. But I was answering phone calls, I was texting people, I was making sure there was enough water at my mother's house. And what I did not know was that I was in a state of functional depression. But you plan the funeral, you plan the arrangements, you maybe take off a few days from work, but then you go back and life is still going on. I still have a child I need to tend to. I still have a career I need to be concerned about. People are depending on me. And so, because of that, and that pushing of the emotions down, I recognized that whenever I was driving across the bridge to work, I would wonder, what if it were icy outside today? And I just slid off the embankment and passed away. Fortunately, I had no desire to actually purposely drive off the side of the road, but I thought about what would it be like if I just went over the edge of this bridge into the river and died. When I would wake up in the morning, I was not sure that I was excited about that waking up. And I was afraid to tell anybody because I think I knew what they were going to say. God is faithful. God is just. Trust in the Lord. You're stronger than that. I knew what they were going to say. I had even said some of those things to people, but I was broken. I was even during that time going to therapy and not telling my therapist at the time what I was going through because I felt like she would not understand. And that's my therapist at that time was a white woman. But eventually, when you do not grieve, it comes out. I started having anxiety attacks. I didn't know that's what it was. I went to the doctor one day. Now, mind you, I'm in a doctoral program. I'm getting my doctorate. My son is in high school, has all the activities of a high school student who is very involved. I was having trouble in my marriage, and I felt like I was having a heart attack. I go to the hospital. They do an EKG. They have me run on a treadmill. They determine that there's absolutely nothing wrong with my heart. And I Googled my symptoms because I also had what felt like was burning on my skin. It felt like my skin was on fire. And it said anxiety right there at the top. And what I realized was that sometimes, Black woman, you overcome her. When we try to push through, that our bodies will cause us to rest, even though our minds say, continue onward. And so there are a few things that I just want to leave with you, 3 points exactly. Number 1, don't be afraid of therapy. Do not be afraid of therapy. Therapists have studied in theory and worked through and practiced with hundreds, if not thousands of people who have gone through exactly what you're going through, and they can help. Point 2, suffering is optional. When we are going through things, I believe God gives us rams in the bushes. There were times when all I needed to do, or one thing that I could have done, was just center my body, practice mindfulness, go outside for a walk to get some sun, listen to uplifting music, eat real food, mostly plants, not too much. Those things we know help to improve the mood. And third, but certainly not least, grief is real. Deciding that you should be grateful for the time you've had with your parent. It sounds good. Deciding that to be strong in the Lord is to not be sad and miss your loved one. Sounds good. Thinking that you should be over it by now. Sounds good. But baby, when we're broken, God has given us tools to put the pieces back together again. But we have to be open to those tools. Therapy, understanding that suffering is optional, and taking the time to ensure that we are going to do what's necessary in order to grieve, and to grieve in ways that are helpful. If you are interested in learning more about my experience and having access to the Holy Educated MFer book, then you may see all things related to it at drnicoleprice.com. The book is available on Amazon, but however, if you buy it directly from me, you'll get a beautifully wrapped package with a special gift. So visit the site and check us out and let us know what do you think if you want to know some more about it. Every time we talk, I am going to share a little more about my story, and I look forward to seeing you here. Click like, click share.